About the size of Connecticut, the Big Island is a geographically diverse place, known for its black sand beaches, its steep cliffs, and its volcanoes. Less explored is the lush and impenetrable Waipio Valley. Here, an adventurous woman named Linda Beach came home to nail down her little bit of paradise.
I grew up in Honolulu, in Manoa Valley.
As a child, Linda loved to climb the big hau trees on her native island. When she grew up, she kept aiming high, becoming a TV star in Japan, where she lived for 20 years. But when it came time to build a house of her own, she returned to Hawaii, this time to the tropical jungle of the Big Island's Waipio Valley. The property she found there changed her forever.
The minute I stepped onto this land, it was more than that. It was this and me.
Getting to this little piece of paradise, though, is no picnic. It takes a four-wheel drive, nerve, and a willingness to follow some directions that seem pretty insane.
You drive down the hill, turn left, cross the river, and you're here. You can do it.
Except that it's more than just cross the river, it's turn into it and drive upstream. Some people find the trip down treacherous hills and across rivers daunting, but not Linda, who's been doing it for nearly 40 years. The river has to get pretty high before Linda will be persuaded not to try it. She just rolls up her car windows and puts the car in low gear.
I've crossed it when it's come in the window.
To the intrepid Linda Beach, the rugged trip down, across, and over is all worth it to reach her hidden haven. Linda chose to build her house in the boughs of a magnificent monkey pod tree that she guesses is some 200 years old. She designed it herself and constructed it with the help of two boat builders. She had an image of what she wanted it to look like.
I wanted a tree house that looked as if it belonged in the tree.
And she got exactly what she wanted. These days, it's difficult for her to negotiate the treehouse stairs, and she spends her nights in another house on the property. But for many years, she lived in it full-time. About 24 by 20 feet, the treehouse is a simple one-room cabin with windows on all sides. At the center is the trunk of the monkey pod tree that inspired Linda to build her bird's nest house.
I think of it as a triumph of a tree because it plants itself there and it goes and it gets bigger. It's what, maybe 85, 95 feet high.
That magnificent tree is both support and centerpiece for a living area that has a lot in common with the compact layout of a boat. Bunks line the walls, doubling as both sleeping and seating space. A tiny galley-like kitchen camouflaged with bamboo takes up almost no space at all. And for a long time, this little treetop cabin was like heaven for Linda.
I could barely leave it. I would get in it and I would sit on one side and look and look and look, and then I'd go across and sit on another chair and look. Because it's there, it's all there.
Well, not entirely. A bathroom is one level below the treehouse. And a shower house is in another cabin here in what has now become a small compound. In fact, in recent years, Linda sometimes rents the treehouse to hardy people looking for a different Hawaiian experience. To help manage the place, Linda hired Carla and Daniel Alvarez to act as caretakers. Carla handles the reservations and office work. Daniel tries to keep the jungle from overtaking the place. It's more than just a job to them, of course. It's an experience.
It's a great place to get away from everything. I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, and always lived in a big city, so I've always, my whole life, dreamed of a place like this. Waterfalls, and especially the wild horses, are absolutely beautiful. The streams, the ocean, everything, it's beautiful.
Like most visitors, it took Carla a while to get used to the drive down and across the river.
Well, I can tell you the road that goes down into the valley, I had nightmares about for quite some time.
Reaction from Linda's guests, some of them celebrities and rock stars, is uniformly one of astonishment.
We received lots of absolutely wonderful letters from people who have stayed here. This is the most wonderful place they've ever been in their entire lives. We meet astronauts, we meet scientists, all different kinds of amazing people.
Living in the treehouse is a unique island experience.
It's wonderful when the wind blows, when you're that high, and sometimes I was a little bit scared when I first went in there, but actually it's nice and smooth and rocky, kind of relaxing. You can see the treetops all through the jungle. It's beautiful. You have a great view of the waterfall.
Carla is headed to medical school, and that means she must soon move back to a city.
I think that'll be a sad thing. I love it down here. It's beautiful. It's very relaxing. It's unlike any place I've ever been.
And though Linda Beach has lived here for nearly 4 decades, she's still in awe of her island haven.
I wanted to tell you something about the silence that was so important here. About the birds and the different sounds that you get when you're in a place like this. We're as close to Eden as can be.
And for Linda, living here in this idyllic setting has clearly been a dream fulfilled. Next on Extreme Homes of Exotic Islands, we set